The other funny bit of news is Orban would like everyone to apologize to him now.
Why? What?
For what?
For what?
Okay. So I'm going to read this from the EU Observer's ticker.
Yes, please.
Which is very good. Okay. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban expects his government to be able to relinquish emergency powers at the end of May. He said after meeting with his best boy, I've added the best boy, Serbian President Alexander Vucic in Belgrade. After the end of the highly criticized extra powers, quote, we give everyone a chance to apologize to Hungary for unjust accusations. He was quoted as saying by the MTI news agency.
Oh my
yes.
God.
So you were all fake friends.
Orban just having a normal one.
Yeah, that's the same level of thing of the other bizarre news from our other favorite dictator within the borders of what I'll consider Europe. Is Erdogan calling the axis of evil? Like, what was it?
Oh, a new alliance of evil.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
France, Cyprus, Lebanon,
Greece,
everyone,
Egypt, and the UAE.
Wait, what?
Everyone who's not allowing me to violently violate fishing rights and sea level. It's just, I'll try to get this exact article. I shared it to you earlier in the week. It's hilarious.
It had to do with offshore drilling, but off the coast of Cyprus, which is not Turkey.
No, yeah. He very much thinks he can drill there.
So, since we were talking about Orban, I also have fun news. So
I have a funny feeling this is not going to be as fun as this one.
Nope.
Okay.
There was
Orban
a guy...
has proclaimed himself like the hottest man.
No, but since we were talking about Erdogan and Orban and how close they are lately, not in not that they are meeting up or something, more in the sense of what they are doing, because Orban, the Hungarian police just arrested someone in Hungarian city.
Yes, okay. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. Great language. Well, they questioned the man because he posted something on Facebook that was critical of the government. And they even uploaded a video of him being taken away. And there was some critique, and since the investigation has been stopped. But, I mean, that is just something normal, right?
Very normal.
Yeah.
But then I saw you post this recently about something similar happening in Turkey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Kurdish mayors.
Oh yeah. I mean, this has been going on since 2015 or before. Since kind of since 2015. Is that every time there are Kurdish mayors or Kurdish municipalities, Kurdish people elected in office, especially in South Anatolia, the cities where you have a big Kurdish minority, at some point they are going to be imprisoned. They're going to remove them. Yeah. They're going to put an AKP person, substitute mayor in power. So it's, I don't know, and we're just watching because that was happening before. And of course, it's always the claim of working with terrorist organizations, being a member of the PKK or something like that. And he's been doing that since forever, since 2015, since the HDP actually gained a lot of votes, a lot of momentum in South Anatolia. And the EU is not doing anything. I mean, he's not a member of the EU, but also we were still talking to him about joining the EU and stuff like that, and still NATO hanging out with him, drinking tea, German politicians.
Listening to him and his new thoughts on this alliance of evil, which includes France. So I guess Germany's on board.
I love how that's that's just such a
Germans are we knew it.
I don't think many people remember this though. But do you remember which countries were included in Bush's axis of evil?
No.
Oh, I remember them being dumb. Was North Korea in there?
North Korea, Iran, and then the last one's a fucking kicker.
Okay, what was the last one?
Belarus.
How is Bush interested in Belarus? Like,
who will stop these titans?
Yeah,
They
like
keep beating me in World of Tanks.
yeah. No, I mean because there's all this stuff. Obviously, you know, in hindsight, it makes a little bit more sense when you think about it because it was just anyone who was the U.S. was top dog, end of history mentality. We can go in and take down any leader who was anti-U.S. except for all those countries and those specific leaders are still in power.
oh my god.
I'm really hoping that, like, in the year 2030, they'll finally declassify the CIA documents that was like, yeah, we really tried to topple Lukashenko. We just kept flubbing it.
Nobody
because it's like
defeat him.
It's not as militarized as North Korea. They definitely don't have like a very powerful revolutionary guard like Iran. But for some strange reason, we just couldn't get this this fucking Turkish delight eating motherfucker out of office.
Yeah, no, it is like when you do think of it, it's like I mean, the first thing that this is really funny is that the U.S. couldn't sway influence in Ukraine, which is like, all right, like I imagine it being a little bit more difficult somehow, but like fucking Belarus just seems just like a I don't know, like it just seems like tier 1 level of fucking like toppling governments. Like they're probably like you could just like I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's like level 1 in your like CIA cosplaying video game where it's just like level 1 is overthrow Belarus.
Yeah,
it can't be that hard. Just
yeah, it's like the level. It's the level. It's the very first level of Red Alert 2 when you play as the Soviets and you have to destroy the Pentagon. It's so easy.
I mean, I guess they just don't want to like risk Russia getting involved in any kind of way, you know? Even though Lukashenko and Putin are not the best friends all the time, there was a time where they wanted to join forces, where they actually wanted to turn it into like a big, you know, like the Rus again, you know, like the big empire of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia.
We are so reactionary. The glorious society we envision ourselves going back to is fucking Kievan Rus. God damn it! Watch out for those fucking Vikings, I guess. They're really terrorizing the Baltics.
Yeah.
God damn it!
So there was this very friendly time between those two. He kind of like stepped away from that a bit, especially like during the Ukraine thing, during the annexation of Crimea. He was still saying like, okay, yeah, he does what he.
Julia, whoa! Why did you phrase it that way?
Our money handlers won't like this.
The rightfully taking back what belonged to them.
Yes, rubles.
Reintegrating the great. Wait, it's not the island. It's not a peninsula, right? It's an island. Of Crimea. Take him back.
Yeah, okay. Patreon. All right. Now is the time of the show where we do our Patreon shout outs to our top tier donors. Shout out to you, Vladimir Putin. You're the best. Thank you.
Spasiba, dude. Spasiba, Daddy Putin.
Hey, it's your weekly Corner Späti. We've got, we're missing our Rob. Bring back our Rob. Rob is, I don't know, gone back to Georgia, I guess. That's just what happens when Rob's not on the podcast. He's in Georgia.
He got over coronavirus, but he's...
Yeah. But he has to make the Georgian people suffer. He's spreading coronavirus to Georgia.
Oh, what an asshole!
Yeah.
But I am here with a veritable alliance of evil of the podcast.
Nice.
True enemies of the Turkish state and their drilling operations off of the coast of Cyprus, a country that is definitely a part of Turkey.
I won't question it.
No, yeah. I'm joined with Yulia, of course, the France of the podcast. I've always said this.
Bonjour.
And of course, I am also here with Nick, the Egypt of the podcast. I've always said this.
Oh, hell yeah. I would like to let everyone know that I, in fact, have in my, Twitter bio now, the true, I do recognize Northern Cyprus as its own state, and I have that emoji now in my thing. I'm going to be harassing anyone who mentions the Armenian genocide because it simultaneously didn't happen, but yet I also think it was really cool.
And of course, it's me, Kieran, the the United Arab Emirates of the podcast.
Yes.
I mean, there are a lot of Irish in the UAE, so that makes sense, right?
There are. I know so
Seriously?
many people who just I know so many people who went there or worked in like finance or like real estate for 2 years and then came back and just bought a house outright.
Oh.
I mean, literal king shit.
Yeah, pretty much. What is an emirate if not a king? That's exactly what it is. It's a king. Anyway. We're here with a bit of a look at the news, looking at some big stories from the weekend beyond, as in the week or previous weeks, basically. Yes,
it's previously in Europe.
Oh no, it's blending together. It is blending together because I used to do previously in Europe remotely, and you guys in person, and now that we do both remotely, I can't tell when one begins and one ends.
Oh my god, it's just one big
it's just
remote
in a feedback
podcasting.
Loop of fucking podcasting.
You're recording everything.
I am the podcast now. There is you can't prove you haven't seen me in ages. You can't prove that I exist in any physical space. I just am a podcast voice now.
I saw you last week. You brought me food.
Yeah, but since then I've become a podcast voice.
That's cool. You've transcended, this material life.
My corporeal body is somewhere in the spree. Please, someone fetch it. Nice. Oh, right. So the first piece of news that I think I saw floating around before, but Yulia put me onto is there's a city in Ukraine that just asked for a list of all the Jews.
Yes.
That was fun. I'm so glad that happened. Good job, Ukraine.
Yeah, Ukraine. Yeah, it was this. Especially because it was this high-ranking police officer that just requested an official list of all the Jews in the town, in the city of what is the city called again?
Kolomia.
Kolomia. Yeah. I don't
Which is Ukrainian for Heinrich Himmlerstadt.
Yes.
Beautiful language.
Yep. And he didn't even say why.
We did. Yes,
because if you gave a reason, it would have been better.
It's just out of anti-Semitism, guys. You know how it is.
Reason, anti-Semitism. I was like, well, he's being very honest. We can't reject him now, I guess. He asked for their addresses, phone numbers, and he asked this of the I think it's local Jewish organization, basically.
Yeah.
Ukrainian Jewish community. Yeah.
The Orthodox Jewish, the religious community of Colombia.
Yeah.
Yo, I need all your personal information and your biometric scans of everything, so I can just fucking protect you better. All right.
He wanted the fucking mobile phone numbers. The fuck, not even your landline or anything like that. No, your mobile phone.
No, I mean, it to protect you better by triangulating your location where you are at all times.
Guys, I want to have your Snapchat.
I need your Snapchat, your OnlyFans.
Your OnlyFans.
I need the Jewish OnlyFans.
I need your JDate account.
Your Cash App.
I like the idea.
Want to send your money, guys?
Actually, yeah. Can you guys sign up to my Patreon? The station's decided not to fund the police anymore, so we're just wilding out. I like the idea of just in what is this kind of... I believe it's a commuter town of Kiev, basically. It's just a little bit southwest of Kiev. I just like the idea in this commuter town, there's just this police station with their giant super commuter. Just what are all these dots? It's it's all the Jews in the city. I was Interesting. It was like, oh no, what is it? Johnny's entered into a neo-Nazi neighborhood. The alarms go off. It's like, we have to protect him.
Oh my god, that would be beautiful. Yeah,
but like literally, like no joke. That's like literally how like some like Nazi conspiracy shit goes down of like, oh no, the Jews were removed so that then Hitler could protect them.
Yeah, shit.
No.
Yeah, I've heard that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It was
What?
actually for protection.
Yes, it is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
There are legitimate neo-Nazis who think, because you have to justify that the Holocaust happened somehow, that the concentration camps existed. So the way that they get around it is that they say that then like, oh, it was because, Hitler knew that then like people were going to like, scapegoat them, i.e. Hitler was scapegoating them and fucking murdering them.
Yes.
But they have to get around the fact that it never happened. Because there is such evidence of ghettos and
they're saying that it was actually just showers. Like, the Nazis say that.
No.
And this is part of the euphemism that was actually used by the, regime, was saying something like, okay, what we call Schutzhaft. So something you get in protection custody. We're just like removing them to protect them, which is of course bullshit. So like Schutzhaft was something that was used a lot, and like it was Nazi language, It was like it was right there with like Kinderlandverschickung and shit like that, and all the fucking euphemisms and Sonderbehandlung and
Didn't a lot of the like regular like Germans, like not party members, weren't they like basically told, oh, we've just relocated them to the like newly conquered lands? We took over parts of Poland so that the Jews could have their own place.
Of course
they wouldn't be in Berlin anymore or whatever.
Yeah, we're just sending them away with the trains, and and that's. I mean, they made the videos like how like they have cinemas in the concentration camps, and like athletic like activities and shit like that, and a choir.
Those were all just for the SS though. So
I know that was just to entertain the fucking guards. And,
But
I thought you were saying the movies were for the SS. Be like, look how good they've got it. I was like, I'm so angry.
Because that's also like I mean, I know that we started this on like a joking manner of that, then like, oh, it's to protect them, but like there is obviously in the sense of that is how a lot of Nazis go about justifying this stuff. Second, like whenever you hear like weird neo-Nazis like Richard Spencer, who are like also like simultaneously massive Zionists, it comes around the exact same logic of that. Then it's like, like we want to remove the Jews to their country so that then that they'll be safe there, and that I can have my fucking white ethno state, and I don't have to have Jews because I'm an anti-Semitic piece of shit.
Oh my god.
Anti-Semitic Zionism is like really big thing, as well as like amongst
amongst Ukraine and Hungary as well. Like
but ask Netanyahu's son. I mean, he is like the king of anti-Semitic Zionism.
Weird.
Oh yeah, he's like he's the poster boy for the AFD now for some reason.
I know.
Oh yes, of course.
He's such a weird person.
But like, because it's this like self-serving feedback loop of like Netanyahu wants like a population boost because they have their own project there with the Palestinians, but even then even most conservative economists kind of like agree that like immigration is good for GDP growth, and these are all probably fairly high skilled people from like the US or like Western Europe, so they're not going to say no to them. But then you just have this weird thing of what's the really prevailing one that I didn't know. The really prevailing one in the States that I didn't know about was the like evangelical Christians who believe that like the rapture can only happen once all Jews are in Israel.
Yes, that sounds accurate.
That sounds right though. Yeah.
Oh my god.
But no, go on.
Just like something I wanted to add to the like when we're talking about Ukraine, that this guy like Mihailo Bank, interesting last name. He's actually he is the head of organized crime unit.
Yeah.
So that is something that raises questions.
Oh no, he's doing the Michael Müller move.
Which Michael Müller?
Which
move?
one?
I'm confused.
The one where it's like, he's again back to the sense that he's just protecting the Jews from what's it called? What was the thing that then Micha Müller did that he's protecting him from expropriations again? Because obviously all the property owners in Berlin are Jews, according to Micha Müller.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Müller's statement against Deutsche Wohnungseignung.
Yeah, exactly. Who keeps fucking responding to me on Twitter now? I didn't tag them in anything.
Oh,
Fucking
really?
psychopaths. Yes.
Michael Müller.
No, Deutsche Wohnen.
Deutsche Wohnen.
Oh,
Yeah.
the actual company.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, no, the campaign is very good.
Just like had a different information as well on this, that he said that he wanted these details about Orthodox Jews and university students of Jewish ethnicity as a part of an investigation into ethnic crime groups.
Huh.
So what the fuck?
That sounds like anti-Italian discrimination, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, it's oh my God. I think he's going for a Jewish mafia thing.
Yeah, exactly. He is. That is why he wants information of everything, everyone that is Jewish. Like, what the fuck?
But okay, so
wow.
there was a Jewish mafia in the United States for a while.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly,
Literally, they made Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Nice.
If I remember correctly, though, not necessarily stocked with college students and Orthodox.
Orthodox Jewish people. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if I remember, because there's that thing in the States, especially when you're out on the East Coast, where Reformed Jewish communities and Italian American communities kind of blended together. You get a lot of people in modern New York who are of both descent, and it was that kind of community. It was the working class Jews who would manage to flee Europe made this mafia in the 19th century. But yeah, that was in the States. That wasn't in Ukraine.
Yes.
I really like the idea of him just covering his tracks.
I don't know.
By,
Odessa, the jewelry district. I can't really tell the difference.
Odessa, the Las Vegas of Eastern Europe. I've always heard that. Everyone says that.
Okay.
I really like the idea of him covering his tracks by being no, this was a part of a larger campaign. He just tells his assistant, quickly, ask for all the Irish people. I want a list of all the Irish people, the French, all of them. Just get me all the ethnicities.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm reading the original letter right now. I have it in front of me, the paper. And it says it's for an investigation of the transnational...
Oh no, he wrote it in German?
No, it's in Ukrainian, of course. So it says it's about to fight transnational criminal gangs or organized crime.
No.
So,
what's the Ukrainian for globalists?
yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
This could get very dodgy very quickly.
This is horrible. This is,
so
fuck Ukraine. You thought that would be different with having a Jew, a president that with Jewish roots, kind of, and a prime minister with Jewish roots. But
the Jewish population of Ukraine is still quite high, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
it is.
Yeah. There's apparently in the town where this is happening, there is actually several hundred.
Yeah, that's true.
Community.
Yeah.
So, well, that's Ukraine. Just if you remember, every other time we've talked about Ukraine in this show, of just neo-Nazi groups marching on that chocolate baron because he wasn't Nazi enough for them when he was president. Mm-hmm. It's great country. It's doing great. Always good news from Ukraine.
Always just on the most normal of ones.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to their new president finally doing what he wants, which is to legalize weed, which I think should solve all these problems.
Yeah.
Hell fucking yeah. Yo, the problem is that these fucking Ukrainian neo-Nazis just aren't fucking blazing up. All right? If they would just fucking hit that shit, bro, we wouldn't have racism anymore. Yo, yeah. I'm looking at you, Alexander Gauland. If you fucking, you and me will fucking smoke, we'll talk about racism, and you won't be racist anymore.
Yeah.
I'll dig deep and probably find out though that I'm really racist when I'm high or something. Who knows?
It's a double-edged sword. Weed legalization, I guess.
Oh God, that like those like correlation of things of like that don't line up. I may have mentioned this on like one that just like I've made up that comes to mind is like the amount of trap albums that have been released and the amount of men on the moon.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how many weird correlations you could make with something like this.
Oh, spirit. Okay, I'm the king of stupid correlations. For example, there is a correlation in the United States of U.S. spending on science, space, and technology with suicides by hanging, strangulation, and suffocation. What's another one? There's a correlation between number of people who drowned by falling into a pool with the amount of films Nicolas Cage has appeared in that year.
Yep.
Hell yeah, that's so sick.
There's a correlation in the United States of per capita cheese consumption with number of people who died by being tangled in their own bed sheets.
Oh, I know that one. That is really concerning.
It's just because you eat too much cheese and you get so
Exactly.
gassy, so you're trying to like move around into weirder positions so you fart properly and then you end up dying.
I think it's really scary that you can die that way.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that one. Fuck off. All right. Next, do we want to move on?
Hello, it's me, Banksy. Do you remember me from when that time I painted stuff on the wall in Gaza? I earned a lot of goodwill from that, and then I squandered it. What if two cops were kissing? That's art. I'm Banksy. Anyway, when I'm not painting a woman staring at her phone, missing the world around her, I'm donating to my favorite leftist comedy podcast, Corner Späti. You can support them at Corner Späti at OperationGlad.io. I've lost the accent. I might be a member of Mass Effect. It's me, Banksy, signing off.
Okay, so next order of business is actually normally I wouldn't do this because I don't trust the
Media.
site ever, but I thought it was a good mental exercise regardless of how sorry, we're talking about COVID-19 again and how we're racist, just Europe is racist and bad, and our perception of the world is through racism.
It is Europe's chief export.
Yeah. Package that bad boy up, ship it across the world, But
who needs racism?
I don't have the original piece in front of me. I do now. It is from a Samara. I can't pronounce the name. Samara.
He's a Sri Lankan doctor.
Yeah, Sri Lankan. Samara Jiva. Then it would be, I think, if the J is pronounced. I think. I don't know, but wrote a short medium piece about how while Germany up until very recently has been like the saving grace of Europe for dealing with COVID-19's actually quite a disaster when you compare it to pretty much every Southeast Asian country. Particularly in the sense of what they use as Vietnam and South Korea. South Korea being the one that then Germany's compared to the most for some dumb reason. But then that just kind of, the way that then and I think that we've talked about this just like before, is that then Germany hasn't been doing well. I think that we can say from our own experiences of just like the complete chaos that I've kind of felt of that Germany not wanting to lock down, having this idea that then that and I do think it's like a complex of white supremacy, that it's not going to affect Western countries the way that it affected.
There's a huge degree of arrogance, which is that arrogance is also fueling Sweden's decisions with this.
With the fucking UK just being like, oh, it's just the flu, mate, you just can go vacation in Spain.
Banksy,
what are you saying again?
I've never collectively hated a country so much than when I saw the video of those dudes in those English dudes fucking in Spain, just being like, I'm not gonna fucking.
Oh my god, yes. When I saw that, I was like.
Yeah, like so the general point of the article, it's not like he's not kind of like throwing any huge facts on it, but it's a criticism of like media narrative, which was the article's a little outdated now. We'll talk about that in a bit, but like he does a very good comparison with Vietnam, because I actually did not know Vietnam's population was as close to Germany's as it is. I thought they had a lot more people than that, but it's 13 million difference, which well, that's a lot of people, I guess, but still
13 million more, isn't it? Too, it's like
13 million more, in Vietnam, with about like they have 6% of Germany's GDP in total, and a land border with China. But as of recording, the death toll in Germany is 7,900, and the death toll in Vietnam is 0. The general point of the article is that like white leaders are kind of like graded at a curve, because when he wrote this article, the media was basically fawning over, like English-speaking media was fawning over Angela Merkel and Germany in general as like handling this quite well, when sure, if you compare that to other major white, like Western countries, yeah, Germany has done better than Italy. It's done better than the United States, for sure. But like, he does make a good point that they're basically ignoring not only Vietnam, like Taiwan, South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, like all these societies, like they were super scared and whatnot. But
even I mean, just China itself, the first country that dealt with it better than most of the world. And then if you tell that to people, they're like, "Oh, well, they're lying about their numbers." It's like, I don't think so. Like I obviously don't trust everything that then comes out of China. I don't trust everything that comes out of Germany or the United States. With the comparison between Germany to other countries is just like a grease fire on your stove in comparison to like a dumpster fire that is like the UK or like, you know, I don't know, Italy or the United States especially. Like, it's still like, I don't want a grease fire in my kitchen. Like, I really don't. I would rather have, you know, take the precautions to avoid it, clean my fucking kitchen so I don't have a grease fire.
Yeah, so I think it's... I think the general thing is that like Western media is just ignoring, like, even if you ignore the whole like China thing, because it's impossible to argue with people who say that China is fudging their numbers, because there's really no way, like there's no coming back from that. I was like, okay, well, we can't have this discussion because there's no way to prove one way or the other that they are. So this conversation is moot. But like, yeah, the death toll in like Wuhan is lower than all of Germany. And then you have like Thailand, which you might trust. So they only had 56 deaths.
Oh,
Vietnam
wow.
had 0. Singapore is probably a bad pity. They only had 21 deaths so far, but like there's problems in Singapore of them not like counting the like illegal immigrant labor that Singapore uses to function, that like live in these really hot, like hoveled conditions. Malaysia had 112 deaths. Indonesia has had 1,000 deaths. The Philippines has had 817. South Korea. What was South Korea?
250 something or whatever.
262.
Oh,
is what
okay.
I have here. But like, these are all countries that were far closer to China in proximity, and have dealt with it quite well. And the last one I'll mention is Taiwan, which has 7 deaths out of a population of something like 40 million.
Yeah, and that's the thing, just exactly that too. Of that, and like remember, because the big scapegoat that people were using for New York is that like, oh, everyone lives on top of each other, this and that and that. That's why it's so bad. It's like, no, New York is bad because
unlike Southeast Asia.
I know, right? You know, unlike fucking Seoul or unlike fucking Taipei or whatever. Like all like population density in just like some town that you've never fucking heard of in Southeast Asia probably has a higher population density than Manhattan. Like,
yeah, but you can always get those like maps that get shared every so often of I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the more people live in this circle than outside of it.
Yeah,
where there's just like a small circle over like Southeast Asia that includes like the densely populated parts of China, former Indochina, Philippines, Indonesia, stuff like that. And they're just like, there's more people inside this circle than there is in the rest of the world. So like, this is an incredibly densely populated part of the world.
Yeah.
No, and there's like
I'm sorry. I don't believe you. It's the dense population density obviously made it worse because Andrew Cuomo told me so. Also, he kind of told on himself that when he did that fucking tweet of like bad leadership equals like bad results, whatever. It's like, damn. Okay, yeah, you're admitting it. You did a horrible job.
I mean, yeah, in Western countries, there's definitely a correlation with like population density because like. The most densely populated parts of Germany are the parts that are worst hit.
Like North Rhine-Westphalia.
Yeah, exactly. And other countries that are like... The Netherlands has had a hard time. They're the most densely populated country in Europe. And then the other one that the one that no one notices is that if Scotland wasn't a part of the UK, then the UK would be the most densely populated country in Europe because England is ridiculous in terms of population density. But like that doesn't really, you can't just like circle a bunch of countries and say the correlation is population density and then like ignore all these other like densely populated countries that aren't being hit as hard. Like they're concerned with India now at the moment, but India's numbers are nowhere near.
No, yeah.
Yeah, they've like.
But how is the testing and stuff going in India?
Yeah, well, that's
because
that's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't know if they care to test certain groups of society in India.
Of course not, no.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. That's
if we just refer to like the case system that is non-existent by law, of course.
Yeah,
but
still,
that's
the thing that's been so interesting is that
reality.
The place, like the area of India that then is dealt with it the best is, just somehow controlled by the Communist Party of India.
Yay! I met several guys, people affiliated with the Communist Party. They're always at the conferences. It's fun.
They're really big. It's a really
the largest communist.
I
think the largest communist party that isn't.
They're I think they're the second largest in the world after the CCP.
Exactly.
Okay.
Which is a pretty big deal when like you have a communist party in charge of like Vietnam. But yeah, like they're pretty big. They're the largest in the world that doesn't have like complete national control, but they have control of the state. So because of that, Japan gets like the Japanese Communist Party gets called the largest non-governing communist party. But anyway, but there's a the article's point is effectively correct, even though things have changed the media landscape, because we were talking about this off mic that Germany is no longer the like media darling for like English speaking press. It's now New Zealand. Yeah, I'm sorry, Julia.
It's fine.
We tried really hard, but no, apparently it's New Zealand. New Zealand's like situation is, again, when compared to other like Western countries, quote unquote Western countries, is quite good. They've only had 21 deaths.
21.
But they're also kind of spread out.
Yeah, it's a very they're very isolated in the world. Like the nearest major country is Australia, but that's still like a 3.5 hour flight.
Or you take
it's a very low density populated country as well. And then lastly, it's like, let's see, it's like 1,500 infected, but they also have a very small population. The population in New Zealand is like just under 5 million. You then compare that to the classic example of Taiwan, which is a country of like 40-something million people, and they've had 7 deaths and 450 infected.
Wow.
So like Taiwan, and I think also South Korea beats New Zealand in percentage, and Taiwan definitely beats New Zealand in raw numbers.
But of course you can't take any like East Asian country or something as your glorified icon or something in Western press.
I think New York or the New York Times has been happy with mentioning South Korea because South Korea is in the like Western sphere of influence.
Yeah, of course. It's super capitalist country. It's kind of like it's a good Korea.
Yeah, I think exactly. And speaking of Korea, if you want to talk KBO baseball, feel free to hit me up on Twitter.
That's what.
Yes.
Go Tigers.
Yeah. So, now I'm confused. I'm thinking about baseball.
Sorry.
But no, like what I actually also like recently saw a lot of like in English speaking press, but also in German speaking press, is that like people are now like I mean, we talked about that before about Sweden. I wasn't on that episode actually, but people are now focusing on it and again saying like, okay, maybe this is the only way, we can, there's like this foreign affairs article. I mean, it's foreign affairs, but
it represents someone.
Yeah, exactly. It represents someone. And I saw like a lot of comparisons I think Bayerischer Rundfunk did it, like a comparison between like Sweden and Germany and the way they address this pandemic. And well, there's one fun fact that I saw is people are actually like wearing fucking t-shirts with Anders Tegnell's face on it.
Oh.
So and there's actually a guy that tattooed his face on his arm. So like people in Sweden kind of seem to embrace the strategy.
They're really proud of it for whatever reason.
It's really weird because
I've always been under the impression that Sweden's a dumb country, mind you.
I mean,
I've never been convinced that there was some good, happy, social democratic paradise. They've always been psychotic. Yeah. It's too cold for you to be normal. No.
Well, if you have watched Midsummer, you know that
exactly
there's something wrong with that country.
Go on,
but the thing is actually, and this is an important point, I think there's a like big trust coming from the population. Like there's a big trust in the government, and it's always been like that. It's always. It is kind of this like Nordic way, this like Scandinavian way, has to do with like how they, this in quotes like Swedish or Scandinavian, the Nordic way, Scandinavian kind of democracy.
Social democracy, but really racist.
Yeah, that's also a point because of course they're not speaking about like doing herd immunity. But they are speaking a lot about like, soon, like in June, Stockholm could maybe reach, 40% or something of like immunity. And they're speaking about it again and again. They don't call it like Boris Johnson did, like saying like, we just like get everyone infected. But the problem in Sweden especially is that there's a lot of like very exposed groups. There's no like special measures for them, for like refugees that are still,
They're having problems as well with like elderly and rural communities.
Exactly, elderly, and I was about to say like elderly next. They are kind of, I mean, there's like a few things like no visitation in like elderly homes and stuff like that was implemented, but there is not really something to, as far as I know, to really protect very exposed and or like at-risk groups.
Yeah.
So. But the Foreign Affairs article said, like, we all have to kind of do it that way because it takes forever until we find a vaccine. And so there's only one way, and this would be herd immunity.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect segue to the last part of that, I guess, that we want to talk about, is that then, like, the reason that, unless someone else has anything they want to chime in about...
which part do you think you're going on?
Just saying that, of course, then the sense that then, like, a person, I mean, because, like, Foreign Affairs is, like, I would say relatively neoconservative publication in the United States. this idea of them just like simping for the economy is what every Western country is doing right now, because it's like, Germany right now is opening up and it's completely chaotic, and say like it should not be happening right now. The idea that you cannot just pause everything, pause your life for 2 months so that then you'd make life for everyone safer is completely out of the imagination of most Westerners, especially, people who, are commentators and whatnot. Look at all the absolute brain dead op-eds that are coming out of the UK, like applauding Boris Johnson for just murdering everyone who's working class. Because, they have to get their cleaners back, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, fucking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of it is that then the economy is more important than people's lives. And
exactly, yeah. And I mean, it's also this fucking like tweet by Elon Musk. I want to punch him in his face.
I want to shoot him off in one of his rockets, and he has a fucking Columbia incident.
You saw that he won the case against California to reopen
business.
Fucking idiot, yeah,
I saw it.
Sorry, not
and he's
Columbia,
like, I'm gonna be on the. I'm gonna be on the front line as well. Well, I'm gonna, as if, like, he's not gonna stand at the fucking like fleece band. I don't know what the English term is for that.
I'm sorry, I just imagine him in just like a mech suit, like watching over his employees, being like, "See, God, I'm here with
a
you."
mech suit made entirely of masks.
Yeah. Oh my God. But yeah, this is actually like where this whole like public discourse is heading. People are saying, you had the protesters in the US before already, like states are opening up. I mean, Florida was quite quick with the beaches and shit like that. But also here, it's more like, you hear it more often now that people are saying, okay, what are a few deaths if we can, like compared to a fine or like a recession or something, like saying like, okay, it's okay to sacrifice the weak in that sense. I mean, you see that with asparagus already. Like we already have like
Germany wants to literally do genocide to have fucking asparagus. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's disgusting. However,
so economy matters more than people's lives.
Not even the economy. Fucking a stupid fucking plant that grows out of the ground that it does not even taste good is more important.
Let's not go down this road again.
No, it's not even like it's shit. Is more important than the lives of, there's been like there's just been a massive outbreak in I forget where it was, but then now the workers have gone on strike.
There's a wildcat strike happening now.
King shit, really cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Support the strike, yeah.
But the it's worth pointing out that so I guess the last thing we want to talk about in this topic is like, what does this narrative serve? And
line go up.
Line go up, yes, exactly. Yeah. It's exactly what Yulia talks about, that they care more about the economy. So that kind of like, to loop it back around, is kind of why I felt like the media, especially in the States, possibly there's also England, are very happy to talk about Germany and New Zealand as the success stories, because if we look at the other success stories, the more comparably, like the more objectively successful stories, that might come with these questions of changing how we govern. Because if Germany is a success, then there is no threat to American capitalism. They're just like, look, they managed to make it work. We can just make it like a couple of tweaks to make us a bit more like Germany, and everything will be fine. South Korea, like I think one of the things South Korea did, and one of the reasons why I feel like it's not super talked about much in the US mainly, is because they were also a bit more like redistributive when it came to like taking care of people.
You need these measures. You just simply do. I think if this is shown that you cannot have a crisis like we're having now and not have redistributive measures. Otherwise, you get the UK or you get the US. Like the US was so badly prepared that they kept hijacking shipments of masks and shit from other countries. Like that's pathetic. Like
so I just want to, the one thing that I saw get some coverage online, but not a super huge amount of coverage online, was the Korean quarantine care packages. Ooh. That like, people who were forced to isolate because as far as I understand, Korea didn't really do a lockdown the same way we did. They
Yeah.
kind of like tracked people, and people who were found to be in contact with or diagnosed with had to like quarantine and be taken out of the system completely, basically. You weren't allowed to go outside, not even social distancing. So the government then sends you a box filled with like 6 2-liter bottles of water, 4 toothbrushes, hand sanitizer, 5 masks, all these like ready meals, cans of tuna,
Oh my God.
boxes of noodles, boxes of rice.
That's
like
amazing.
basically a lot of stuff that would be considered like toilet paper, things
Yes.
like that, like all the stuff that would be like your staples when you go out shopping in Korea. It was just like given to you for free in a box. Being
That's
like,
good.
yeah, like that kind of stuff. The fact that we like. The really annoying thing is we have all this infrastructure in place in like Western countries. Just fucking seize fucking Liferandu, get them to do it. But like
the fear of Western countries to do that is just so stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing again. You know, we had that before. We saw that in Germany before. It's mostly like all these kind of like help like more at-risk groups in society. Most of the time is done voluntarily, you know, by people that organize like Nachbarschaftshilfen and shit like that. And this is kind of like the thing that is typical for Germany is like, oh, look, we're handling the crisis and shit. It's the same with like 2015 and the situation with the refugees. That a lot of people like in society are like actually organizing and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say that it's all great what the Germans did, you know, because it's kind of like sometimes it's connected with a lot of like Western arrogance and shit like that. So, or like with like, yeah, being a Samariter, I don't know, you know, feeling good about yourself by doing it.
Yeah.
But like a lot of this like neighborhood help that is organized by like the local communities, you know, like neighborhood help and shit like that. And a lot of like left-wing organizations doing the shit.
Yeah.
So you won't get the food from the government or anything like that. You know, you won't get any mask from the government or anything. I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, maybe you talk to your Nachbarschaftshilfe.
Yeah.
You know?
I do think though that then like, and I don't want to sound like I'm talking against the like Nachbarschaftshilfe thing, but a lot of them when they first came about were incredibly careless, and they actually do put a lot of people in danger more so than if you just did nothing. So I think that there has to be like, you know, yes, it's nice that then people want to help people in their community. Obviously, 110%. There is a way though, like, I think that the method of the like, okay, this is maybe just because I don't necessarily fear like a centralized state as much as some other leftists do. But the idea then like of the South Korea thing being done in Germany could easily have been done. And I personally would have had no problem with that, other than just
exactly.
I would rather have that than putting the lives of other people in danger who probably don't have the right equipment of delivering stuff to my house, because I imagine a bunch of anarchists coming over to my house don't have the proper face masks and stuff like that. I know it sounds funny, but I'm being serious, like just in the sense of like,
you
I know
don't
that,
trust anarchists.
no, it's not that. It's just simply in the,
Sorry, Kieran.
it's all right.
No, it's simply just in the sense of like safety to other people. Is that like I have a fucking virus that then could be deadly, and just knowing in the sense of that then how Germany's dealing with it. Getting in contact with other people, even if they're young, can still fucking spread that virus. And the thing that then like I think that the South Korean system takes a massive like that they definitely lessen the risk of is that the fact that there is an agency that then goes and does that professionally, you know, through the state or through whoever it is. And I mean,
they're also being paid as well.
Actually,
yeah, of course.
Exactly. It's not like volunteer, like, you know. No, but that is actually something that I wanted to conclude is kind of like I think it has to do with this Germans being very scared of like the government taking over your life, and I think if something like that would be like centrally organized, you know, by the government, and I can see like how you can critique that, you know, and like certain measures and stuff like that. But I mean, sending out food packages, there's, I think, nothing to criticize about that.
No, of course not.
Yeah, I think even if you're afraid of central organization, like you can also do it at a municipalist level. Like
Exactly.
Like Germany has states, like you can get the states to like organize it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I mean central, like that would still be centrally planned, just on a smaller.
Exactly,
Yeah.
But at least that can like assuage some fears of like it's not the Bundes like the Bundesrepublic who has all.
It's not Merkel sending me food packages.
Oh no. And to be very fair, like I would be afraid of the fact of then if it was like some national level German thing doing it, just because I know they would fuck it up. Like they would know, like you'd have to fill out like 19 forms, then you would never get your food.
Yeah. But that would probably all like result in a fucking like mass demonstration of 5,000 people like demonstrating together with Querfront or something, saying like the government wants to feed me, I want to feed myself.
They're feeding me vaccines and mercury.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's probably like computer chips in the back of rice or noodles that I got sent by the government, or in the loaf of bread.
It's just the meme of like the like, honey, it's 4 p.m. time for your whatever, but it's just if Angela Merkel is like, honey, it's 4 p.m. time for your 5G.
Yes, exactly.
So I guess my general conclusion from this is I suspect in the coming weeks, probably shorter, and I mean it's already happening, but there's a lot of people, a lot of like interests that are going to muddle they're going to model what Sweden is doing. They're going to like leave out crucial details when advocating that like, let's do what Sweden is doing. Like Sweden is also not doing particularly well. They have like a much higher death rate per capita than like Norway. Yeah. Norway like locked down completely. Yeah. Similar to Denmark, they have like nothing close to the numbers of like how many people died in Denmark and how many people have recovered in Denmark. But like, yeah, like, but I've heard people being confused. Like, I even heard Swedish people thinking like, "Oh, isn't it strange how like the UK did the same thing as us, but they've had like a much higher death and infection rate?" It's like, no, they didn't do the same thing as you, because even though Sweden never locked down, they at least had officials come on the TV being like, "If you're sick, stay at home." Whereas like Boris Johnson was like, "Yeah, I'm still shaking hands for ages,
still licking people's faces."
Yeah, so I suspect like there's going to be, especially like the right wing of the States, like the publication you were reading, Julia, they're going to leave crucial details of what Sweden did
of course.
Out.
Yeah,
to like make it look like Sweden did what they want the US to do.
Yeah,
they've been leaving out like crucial details of what the UK is doing. I find it so amazing still the fact that no one wants to admit that the country with the worst, not even just the worst reaction, but the highest death toll per capita is the United Kingdom.
Yep.
Like, and we still, I mean, given this doesn't candy coat what the U.S. is doing, because it's different on it's stupid on a whole different level in the U.S. But I am still so surprised that I'll hear people be like, "No, isn't it so dumb what the U.S. is doing?" And they'll completely ignore that the U.K. is like, I mean, if you get coronavirus in the UK, you pretty much have like a 25% chance of dying now at this point. Like, that's insane. That is absurd. It shouldn't be like that, especially not in a fucking, developed Western liberal fucking whatever the hell the UK is. Like, it's disgusting. And the thing that's even more disgusting is that then the conservatives are just going to fucking get more and more and more support, because I don't know why. There is no fucking logic behind any of this.
I feel like people got a little... I think by the time that happened in the UK, I think people got fatigued with the constant information about like countries. Because another thing that happened was recently, I think it's France overtook Spain as most cases. And I remember when I heard that being like, I've basically heard that nowhere. Like, Russia has also climbed quite high as well. Russia now has more cases than the UK in total. Obviously, Russia's a much bigger country. But yeah, like I feel like a lot of this is just not being reported, or not reported as widely anymore. But yeah, I think we can move on from this topic.
Yeah,
it's upsetting.
It is.
Yeah.
And now we move on to the much happier news.
There's more news? Oh, shoot. I thought we were done.
I'm sorry. One last thing, Nick,
Yeah.
which is Germany's in a recession.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Woo. Not only Germany, also surrounding countries.
All of Europe.
Oh,
Well, I mean, Germany's
yeah.
officially, because what is it? A 2% contraction is technically a recession, right? Yeah. So Germany.
2.2%.
Yeah. So
That's why we're trying to open up again.
Probably, yeah.
after
absolutely.
doing literally nothing before, like, I'm sorry, like, I don't feel that then life changed all that much during coronavirus, and it didn't make me feel good about that either. Like, yeah, you know what? Line go up. I'm part of the I'll accept the cult.
We have to. The GDP is important, as I'll talk about here now. So there's a 2.2% shrinkage in the first quarter for Germany. Keep in mind, the first quarter was like the first 3 months. How much of that did we spend in lockdown? Very little, probably. So like, you have to remember, before 2020, every like major economist was saying there's going to be a recession in 2020.
Yeah.
And
they've been saying it for years, ever since the last recession, of like, don't get excited. Markets like reacted way too quickly after 2008. And none of those particularly shady financial sectors were ever fixed. Just made worse.
Not. Yeah. It seems to be like a huge part of this like global recession is also being caused by the U.S.-China trade war that's kind of been like happening in the background, which is ramping up again because I think, what was it, like they're blocking the U.S. has put like even more like tighter controls on Huawei as a company, so that's like a thing. And also there's this
Speaking about that, just like Huawei. So who was it again? Is it Sweden? I think they want.
Oh, it was the Netherlands. I know what you're talking about. I think it's the Netherlands.
No, I'm talking about a soccer club, the football club. Dalkurdi, is that the name of it? The one in Sweden, which is basically like the football club of the Kurdish community. And someone is putting pressure on Huawei to not sponsor them anymore. Did you know Huawei is sponsoring them? Now you know. Great phone. I don't know who put the pressure on.
The Turkish state.
The Turkish state, probably, or something. I don't know, because like, you know how Sweden sometimes and you know how Sweden and Turkey sometimes make out, hold hands in public.
Oh yes. The union between Swedish Greens and Grey Wolves.
Yes, exactly. So I just wanted to mention that because I read it on Twitter or something today.
Yeah, because there's also like there's like big hay being made of the fact that like the Prime Minister of Denmark has been lobbied by Huawei for years, and it's just like they're lobbied by everyone. It's a Prime Minister. I don't understand. Like, it's a company. It's probably acting shitty, but I don't care. So we're now at the point where I guess the big news of Germany being in recession is that like Germany is meant to be one of the more recession-proof economies, because like, France, Italy, and Spain are massively in recession now, but when are they not? So that's kind of why this has become a bit of a news story. I think the Eurozone in a total is like down by 3.9% contraction. And I think it's France that's been the worst hit with like a 5.5% contraction, almost 6% contraction. Yeah, so that's good.
Be like Greece. You can't contract if your economy never grows.
You can't contract if you've already reached negative 100%. I think the other like worrying sign for like people who invest and whatnot, the big boys, is that a lot of Eastern European Union economies are also contracting at the moment. Czech Republic is down 5.4%. Slovakia is down 3.4%. Poland, a country that did not go through a recession through 2008 and the subsequent years, has contracted by 0.5%. So, whoopee doodle.
That'll have no bad, repercussions.
No, everything's fine in Poland.
Yeah.
If you thought they were mad now, wait until they don't have a job.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I found this lovely quote from an article in Tribune that I think also highlights Germany's particular situation, because I think the outside perception of Germany is that it's like this incredibly robust economy, and compared to others, sure, but like, yeah, this quote is a very good quote. Anyway, by 2015, more than 12.5 million Germans out of the population of more than 80 million were at risk of poverty. A significant proportion of this number is the working poor, employed in part-time precarious or platform jobs, and those working full-time on minimum wage. In 2018, the share of workers at risk of poverty in Germany had doubled to 9.1% from 2005, growing a faster rate than any other EU major economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Yep, that is what we're always saying. Is like Germany, the difference between poor and
Germany has just
wealthy.
kind of become like
Die Schere zwischen arm und reich, wie wir immer sagen.
Germany has just kind of become over the years, like since the fall of the wall, just like a way of just laundering money. Like no, I mean like it really like there was a really good article actually in Jacobin about this, about how just like the Aldi family, I forget the real name of them, they're a whole
John Aldi.
I forget
the Aldi brothers,
the Aldi bros, but they're not really like whatever. The entire way that they make money in East Germany, for the most part, that's where most of their investment is done, is just through land schemes that they make money on. Like it's not, they don't provide anything obviously to the economy. They help reconstruct legislation that then allows them to do what they do, which a lot of Western companies did in Eastern Europe, in East Germany. Most of the wealth that then is controlled in East Germany is from Western companies. In fact, the 500 richest conglomerates and people in East Germany are all Westerners, and they all have their money kept in the West. None of it actually stays put. So, I know that we've talked about this before with like the AfD stuff and whatnot, but it really is kind of just like, even if you like live in this country, I think a lot of people don't realize how just Germany is a money laundering scheme for rich Germans. And the social, like poverty in Germany is brushed under the rug very cleverly by, different institutions within Germany. And I'm just curious to the fact of how much they can hide it still, because remember, the way that Germany deals with looking at the poor is by making fun of them. Yeah. You can turn on
TV shows.
Yeah, you can turn on RTL or ProSieben
RTL
or whatever.
2.
Yeah. And you see all these reality TV shows of like Aussies
Hartz IV.
in Duisburg or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's
it's always Duisburg.
Yeah. And I mean, it is like it is the thing of that. Then there's always been this like this. You can look at poor people in Germany and you just associate that they live in probably like a social housing thing. They chain smoke inside their houses. They probably like do weird things like wear all denim or whatever, They probably have a mullet or whatever. I mean, like there's an easy way of like, like they're probably racist, and there's been this inability of the Germans to accept that they're probably also poor. Especially if they're, minimum wage in Germany is, it differs from place to place, but like Berlin's is not like, I don't know many people who are like working that significantly above minimum wage. I mean, a 15 euro an hour job is not good, mind you, especially if you live like in the city. Like you're still technically within that classification, like as a single person living in this country, like quite close to the poverty line.
Yeah, of course.
And think about then the sense of like rents. Like, how many people do you know who actually like spend their rent that is supposed to be the calculated 1/4 of your income?
That's a dream. That would be a dream. Like seriously.
Yeah,
oh my god, it's more like, oh my god, it's half of my income.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, and it's easy to hide those figures actually through precarious work situations, like, and that is why it's important to not only like look at unemployment or something, but also like especially to look at stuff like as Kieran did with that article, then at risk of poverty, or like how many households, like how you would be affected if there's like suddenly something that needs higher spending, something like breaks down, like a car or something, And
easy,
those are
don't
the
own
things
one.
Yeah, depends on where you live.
I think an easy metric always that too in the U.S. is like for medical things.
Yeah.
If you like, can you afford to get sick? And I would say 80% of people would say no, I can't.
No, yeah. And that's the thing. So, like, you're not in the unemployment numbers anymore because you are arbeitssuchend or something like that, or you do like any like weird programs from Arbeitsamt, like working ein Euro jobs shit back then, and I don't know, like, and so you can get rid of the numbers, because
you do like the weird
and people have like several different like precarious work situations, saying like working 2 jobs and it's not enough, mini job, that shit, like I did, like mini job combination where like I'm working that much but I can't get more money because it's forbidden. So yeah.
So in the end, defend the Schwarze Null at all costs because yeah, no, and this is just one one other just little thing about this too. That then I jokingly mentioned the Schwarze Null, but it's the sense of that then if Germany has a weird sense of that they're primarily an export driven economy that then doesn't invest in their export sectors anymore as well because of something like the Schwarze Null. So workers are obviously the first person that then gets cut from planning and from spending schemes and whatnot within Germany. However, when workers disappear, they're still going to be there, they're going to be unemployed. But when Germany gets hit with unemployment rate in Berlin's also kind of high to begin with when you think about it. But what about if the state of Germany had a Berlin level unemployment rate? What does that do to your export driven market, or your export driven economy? It will not function and will horribly affect the Eurozone. And the fact that then Germany just made a really stupid decision about their government spending, or that the European Central Bank can't have control over their own bonds, which is very weird, out of just their complete economic arrogance that they're this, again, like Kieran said, a recession-proof economy. What's going to happen then when there's no method then? One, obviously the rhetoric will change entirely when Germany needs help from the ECB, of course, because it is always, as everything within the European Union, there's always an exception for Germany. And I think it'll greatly create a lot of distrust within the European Union. That was already there to begin with. And this is why I think we should all go back to our normal currencies. And I do sincerely mean that.
There is actually... There is a kind of manufacturing of consent happening at the moment. I talked this a bit more on Previously Europe, the most recent episode, but it does seem to be that there are forces within German press, namely press aimed at the owning class, that is that is now talking or broaching the topic of maybe we have to spend our way out of this.
Yeah, FAZ had an article about that recently, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
The FDP is also in favor of that, weirdly enough.
Yeah. So things like that are starting slowly to happen. I think the one that got my attention is that there was an open letter by the BDI, the Bundesverband der Deutschen Industrie, which represents 100,000 German companies, being we need to give huge sums of money to the other European economies with no strings attached, basically. This is the only way this is going to work, because as much as we like to think of Italy as being this separate economy, it isn't. No. We are heavily tied with it.
You're on the same currency. That's the problem of the euro.
So I think there's a slow building of trying to dismantle the Schwarze Null cult in Germany, but there's always going to be these purists who fucking I don't know suicide bomb the economy to preserve their precious black zero.
Yeah.
I want to do. Oh God, I love talking about the Schwarze Null so much because I hate it so much, and the fact that it's called the Black Zero makes it just the perfect evil entity.
I know. Do an episode about it, like a Patreon episode.
Yeah,
We
we will.
Or like a general one. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I think with that, I think we can wrap it up for this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank everyone, all of you, for listening. You're beautiful and wonderful. If you heard Banksy earlier, you should listen to him. He's pretty cool. Donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/Corner Späti. Or if you have trouble with that, you can check out our new website, operationglad.io. It's an operation about making people happy. I don't know what you think it's about. Don't look into it. Don't Google it.
See you next week then.
Yeah, see you next week, you cuties.
Yay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.